Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tome Travelers. This is our brand new podcast where we're going to be reading different sci-fi and fantasy books each month and discussing it, theorizing about it, just having a good time with some friends. But yeah, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Who do I have here with me today? Who's our fellow travelers?
This is Whitson. So do we want to do our favorite books, or do we want to just give our names first?
I say we can give our favorite books, yeah.
Okay, so my three favorite fantasy books, so you know where I'm coming from, are Red Seas Under Red Skies, Scott Lynch, Wise Man's Fear, Patrick Rothfuss, and Red Country, Joe Abercrombie. So I'm pretty basic modern fantasy.
Yeah, some solid picks. Who else we got here?
I I'm Dylan. So my favorite books so far are The Wise Man's Fear, Patrick Rothfuss, The Lies of Locke Lamora, Scott Lynch, and then The Way of Kings with Brandon Sanderson, which I actually just finished like last week, and it is amazing. So I'm obsessed.
Nice. And my name is Matthew, but you might hear these guys refer to me as MD. I promise you it's just a nickname. It's not because I'm a medical doctor, so don't take any medical advice from me. But my top three favorite fantasy books in this specific order is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, which is the second one to Way of Kings. And the second one is The Hobbit by Tolkien, obviously, just because of the nostalgic aspect that it has in my life. And then the third is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. So
Okay, classic.
Okay.
yeah.
See, I didn't even think about The Hobbit. I was thinking Lord of the Rings, but like Hobbit, yeah.
Yeah. So before we get into this month's book, I kind of want to explain how we're gonna like structure this podcast. So that way, if you want to read along with us, you can. Each month, we're gonna read one different sci-fi fantasy book, and we'll break that book up into 3 episodes throughout the month. The first episode, we will have read the first couple chapters and talk about like our first impressions and maybe give some theories that are probably not going to be right in any sort at all. The second episode is going to be about halfway through the book, which will give us more context to discuss like where we've gone and where we might go. So like we can theorize and like have a little bit more structure in talking about the book. And then the third episode will be a discussion of the entirety of the book where we can give our final thoughts and ratings. So yeah, with that, let's go ahead and get into the first episode of the Tome Travelers.
All right, I'm so excited. So I've read this book before, so I have some questions for you guys.
Well, first off, what is this book?
So this book is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. We decided on this one for episode 1 because you two hadn't read it,
Right.
and then I had, which gave us a good way to jump into this. So I'm going to kind of lead you guys with some questions. Well, first, what are your first impressions? Do you like it so far?
I don't really feel like I don't know. I don't feel like I've personally seen enough to know if I like it yet or not. Like I like Glocta. I like his character right now, but we're just kind of just meeting him, so
Yeah,
it's
just getting
just first
introduced to the
impression.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so like I have read a book in this series before, Best Served or not in this series, but it's in the
Yes,
same world, right?
standalone novel in the same world.
Standalone, yeah, Best Served Cold. And so like I kind of have a feel for his writing style, and it seems like really hardcore based on characters, and I like that aspect of it. So
yeah, I
Yeah,
really
how
like
are you feeling?
Glocta too. He's definitely my favorite so far out of all the different people that we've met. The prologue or whatever was a little bit like slow for me in a way, even though it was
wasn't
like
a
an action
prologue
scene.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It was more like a chapter 1, but it
Yeah.
was I think it did like it showed us a bit of like Logan, and so I'm excited to see where that goes. But I'm more excited for Glocta. I really like his character. He reminds me of Dr. Gregory House from House and
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Well, I feel like Glocta, like the way they did his chapter, or the chapter we've read so far, like it set something up, like it set up where his story was gonna go, and I don't feel like Logan's did that. Like I feel like he kind of just got like attacked, and like now he's just like I guess it did because he's like
Well,
wounded in the forest and
yeah, so some context that you might have missed. Basically, he was traveling with a band of other Northmen,
right.
and
Yeah.
the Shenka attacked, and potentially all of the people he was traveling with are being hunted
Right.
down in the woods.
And
So
see,
he's on his own in the mountains.
we don't know
Right.
what the Shank are yet.
Yeah, I was
So
so confused reading that because I was
yeah.
like, okay, something's attacking him. What is it? And then
Well, I thought it was like
it didn't
I thought it was
describe
like a
it.
soldier. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
Well,
was
so
like,
that's one of the things I really love about Joe Abercrombie. The book is never going to explain something to you that the character doesn't have to explain themselves. He's
okay,
never going to show you anything except through the lens of the character's
right.
perspective, which I find really cool. It's almost like the Dark Souls approach to storytelling, where you kind of have to be more involved in like hunting for details.
Yeah, it's more like a show, don't tell.
Yeah,
It's
so
not.
Yeah,
like he
yes,
doesn't he knows
exactly.
what they are, so he doesn't feel the need to explain it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so based on that, my first question for you guys was of the cast that's been named so far, who are you like gravitating towards? Who do you have like a firm like impression of anyone? Logan, Glokta,
Glockta for sure, like we were
for
saying.
sure.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, big Glockta
Yeah.
fan over here. I also like
How do you
Frost.
okay, yeah, Frost was he's a pretty scary character.
Yeah,
He's
I got that feeling.
Yeah, I picture because it said it was an albino. I'm just picturing like this huge like you know the zombie on Scooby Doo, like in the
yeah.
old Scooby. That's what I'm picturing. I'm picturing that like white looking zombie dude from Scooby Doo just walking around.
And then
Yeah.
before we started, you said you kind of had an inclination towards like what Sev might be like.
Oh yeah, I feel like he's a snaky mother. Like I feel like he's gonna stab everyone in the back. Well, so
Yeah.
like it's talking about how this Salt guy wants Glock to go after oh what's his name
The Master of
Sepdan.
the Mints.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Sepdan
Master of Mints.
Teful, and he's from an important family, and I feel like that's gonna fuck. Like I feel like they're trying to fuck Glockta over, and like Sev's gonna like somehow stab him in the back during all that. Like I really got that vibe from that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
fair
I'm
enough.
really curious to see like what all happens with that too. I honestly don't even know if that's gonna be like a part of the book or not, but like there's probably gonna be like this what I'm sensing is there's like this big faction war that might break out between like this House of Mints dude or whatever, and then like there were the Mercers and all these people that were kind of named and listed. And I feel like Sev is gonna be like just a snake between everything, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's got the rogue vibe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so like I said, I've read Best Served Cold, and like if it's anything like that book, everyone's stabbing everyone in the back. It's just gonna be nuts. But like, so one thing I wanted to bring up is like, do you think that Logan and Glockta know each other? Because like Glockta
Oh.
is a torturer or whatever. He's um
An Inquisitor.
Inquisitor.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed was Logan's name is Logan Nine Fingers, and so I'm wondering if maybe he got tortured and lost a finger from that, or
Oh,
Oh.
that's a really neat bit
That's
of
because
insight.
yeah.
Okay.
because
Okay.
it also said that because Glockta was placed in the north originally when he first became an
Yeah.
Inquisitor, and
Like
Logan's from the north, and
which was in that prison? Was that called the Angla? What was that prison called? Because
Oh,
uh
I should
here
know this.
one sec,
the
I got the
Angland,
book pulled.
Angland.
Yes,
Yeah,
England,
Oh my
England.
gosh, yeah, that sounded really interesting. I loved how they literally took this guy who's like probably mostly innocent, right? And they were like, and Glock did literally just force this confession out of him and was like, now you're gonna put this guy's name on it, and now we're sending you to the literal prison of hell. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And like you can tell he's done this before because like he's talking the whole time about
Oh, he's
how
just
like
apathetic, just
yeah.
completely
Well,
yeah.
apathetic.
so do y'all think like he's maybe because he got it said he got captured in the war and tortured. Do y'all think like because like it seems like he doesn't know how to have normal emotions because like he falls down the stairs and he doesn't know whether he's laughing or hurting and then
Yeah.
like he's going literally thinks he's walking to his death and he's just like yeah whatever man.
Yeah, he's definitely mad, like for sure. Like, and they said like he was the only one who survived as long as he did as a prisoner of war,
Yeah,
and so it's like he must have been messed up while he was like in
yeah.
there. So I'm really curious to see if like they do flashbacks or whatever and tell us how like what all went down in there and like how this happened because I'm
Yeah.
really curious about that.
Well, he's obviously fucked up. He's
Oh
missing all
yeah,
his most of his teeth. He's walking with his cane. acts like everything he's doing is hurting. So like,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
they
he's
got him
twisted.
good.
He's
Yeah.
horribly twisted. Okay, so I have one kind of salacious question. So, if you had to stereotype the book based solely on the exposition you've read so far, so Chosen One story, or Taking Down the Evil Empire story, Epic Quest, or any kind of like tropey story system, where would you put it so far?
Oh gosh.
Mm,
Yeah, Dylan, you take this one first. Give me a second.
so, I'm thinking maybe you can phrase this better for me, but I think Salt's gonna backstab Glocta, and Glocta's gonna be like might even send him up north, and he meets up with Logan, and like they're gonna try to like get back at Salt.
Okay, so you think this is like
Maybe a revenge.
kind of narrow revenge, political
Yeah,
intrigue.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say definitely it's probably gonna be like a political intrigue thing. Because like I said, I think there's gonna be like this big faction stuff that's gonna break out because like we got named all these factions that like Galacta is supposed to like try and get confessions out of or something like that. I forget
Well,
everything.
so they're all parts. Well, Glocta is part of the and that's like the biggest uh political thing in this world, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know. Okay, and then Logan, he's a Northman, which I know they're like tribal, aren't they? I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. They're
Yeah,
kind like fairly nomadic.
yeah, and I'm pulling that information from the other book, by the way, because
Right.
it,
Well, I
it
mean that
it
doesn't spoil
mentions,
anything,
yeah,
so I don't mind mentioning that.
it mentions Logan in the other books. I don't remember what it said, but
Interesting. What if wait, what if Logan like just escaped the the prison?
with those other guys,
Yeah, because it said he was with a crew of people, and then maybe the what was it, the Shanka?
yeah, the Shunka and the Flatheads, are those the same thing?
They're
What
the
if
same
those are
thing.
like the guards of the prison and they're chasing him down?
They sound like beasts, though. They're biting. Well, no, because one they
Yeah,
had a spear. I don't know.
yeah.
That's really confusing.
I don't know. It's just a thought that just came into my head, like as we're talking about
Yeah.
this.
Well, I think that's a really interesting theory.
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm definitely
so
excited to see it.
if you had to guess on a scale of like let's say 1 to 10, how magical do you think the world is? How magical do you assume the world is?
So
Oh,
far, I'd
Yeah, you've
probably
seen the
say,
Shenka, right? So you know there
yeah.
are non-humans, but just how magical are you guessing this world is?
I'd on a scale of like 1 to 10, I'd probably say like a 4 right now. Like, yeah, there's
4?
some
Okay.
magical creatures, but like I didn't see anyone like casting spells or like we didn't have the Archmage or whatever, and so I genuinely
right.
don't know. So I'm gonna just guess 4. It's a little under half, but I feel like it's more low magic than not.
Yeah. So, should I pull my? Because I've read that other book. Should I pull my impressions from it too, or just from solely this book?
I mean, if you can avoid spoilers and still pull from that book, go for it.
Well, like I'll say like I don't think it's very magical, but I know in the other book there was that assassin guy that could do some weird shit. So like I'm leaning more towards uh I would say I'd probably agree with MD 4 or 5. Like I don't think it's like he said. I don't think they're gonna be a Vada in everybody, but yeah, I think there's definitely some either some mystical or some maybe techniques that are would be considered magical.
Okay, but a pretty limited magic
Yeah,
system is what you're
very
thinking.
very very limited. Like I don't think it's gonna be uh you know um building stuff with magic. Like I don't think it's gonna be like you're gonna have sorcerers or anything like that.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
utilitarian magic or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Okay, so that all that being said, do you guys have any harebrained theories you wanna share,
Um. So
or are
I,
we too early for that?
I feel like I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm too early. I was gonna say I think the Shanka, whatever they are some bad bitches because like Logan doesn't even go look after his buddies. Either that or like he's just not loyal. Like he might just
Yeah. He
not give a
literally
fuck.
it
But
literally said like, yeah, he's got a rope, a pot, and a pipe. It sounded like a D&D character going into a dungeon. Like, this is
yeah,
what he's got
exactly.
to go off of, and he's
Yeah.
just going by himself, like try and
Yeah,
survive.
and he
So
see well, what I thought was funny was like he was like he seemed to care more about the pot than his buddies.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's like it's just
Well,
me and
so
you now,
that
bud.
should inform you about the life of the Northmen a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. I'm interested though, like his buddies, like one of them was named the Dog Man. How did he get that name? Like
Yeah.
at first I was like
Well, it will tell you.
right. At first I was kind of like maybe he's like a werewolf or something. Is this kind of like a werewolf type book? But I was like, no, that's probably not where it's going. But maybe he's just a really hairy dude and so they call him the Dog Man. I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm excited for you guys to get introduced to the like the naming conventions because there's some interesting stuff going on there. But okay, I think that's about all I have for you guys to chew on so
So
Yeah.
far. Do you have anything else you want
since
to
you've
add?
read this before, all the main characters in the first book.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was just
Wait,
making
wait,
sure. I
what
didn't.
about them?
Well, have we met all like the main
Oh
characters so
no,
far?
no, 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 no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
No,
we're gonna have
I'm
some
not
more characters.
I'm not gonna tell you how broad it gets, but no, you haven't met the full cast.
All right. What about the? I'm assuming they all meet up at some point. Like I'm assuming they have
Like the
ties to each
gang
other.
gets together, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In some way or another, whether they're against each other or for each other. Like I'm assuming like they get tied together.
In some capacity, at some point in the trilogy, yes.
Okay. So it might take
That's all I'm
it
gonna
might
get you.
take two
Okay.
books, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
and some people literally just meet someone who met someone else, and that's the closest they get to each. You know, it's all over the place.
Mm.
All over the place. This world is crazy.
So about Glocta, like so he takes this Salem Ruse guy, this merchant, and
Hmm.
I feel like he's got a scheme going. Like, and I don't feel like it's just for money because like so that was his buddy during the war or whatever, and he gets him for a reason. But like, what's the reason? And I don't feel it's necessarily just a torture because I didn't get a setup from him. I just got like he gets a thrill out of getting someone to confess to shit that they didn't do, or
Well,
even
Yeah.
that they did do.
that's part of the sausage for him, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
But they did say that
So
they
yeah,
brought
it
him
was like
in
for
because
taxes.
yeah,
Right,
one of
right.
his new
But
assistants turned him in.
they also said that like everybody does that, and the superior guy obviously is getting paid off. And so like what made Glock to go after the one? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, what's his motivation there?
Yeah. Obviously he got the money, but he asked um practical Severard. He said, "Did you get something for Frost and something for yourself?" He never asked if he got anything out for him. So like I don't feel like money's a motivator. So
Well,
like
he won the competition, remember? They said he won the competition. So he was like a decorated fencer before.
right, he was really yeah, before he got
So
captured.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. But he's not struggling.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like he probably doesn't need the money. So what was his motivation? Is it just to get the confession? Is it just to like fuck somebody over
Well,
or
that's what
be
you have to find out.
rebellious? Yeah, well, fair enough. I was just saying, we got any theories?
Hey, I'll give you what I can give you. I'll give you the
Yeah.
freebies.
I honestly, it's so early on that what you can give us is barely anything.
Yeah.
So,
It really is barely anything.
That's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say, because like originally when we were gonna do this episode, Whitson wanted us just to read the first two parts about Logan, and I'm not like MD said, I'm not calling that a prologue. That was the first
yeah.
chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
well, I'd kind of
I-
forgotten that there was no prologue or like
Yeah.
introduction. It literally just drops you right in the deep end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it basically calls that a prologue because
Yeah,
it
'cause
has that chapter and then says part one. But like, I feel
Yeah.
like the quote at the beginning was more of a prologue. The one about or from Homer.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
because like
Yeah.
I feel like prologues are more like they're intended to
Background.
set like tone of the story.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a promise to the reader, like, hey, you don't know what any of this is, but if you stick with the book, this is probably what it's gonna end up looking like. So like it's a little
Yeah.
bit of like a tonal promise, and then like you jump into the exposition, like you start to like learn a little about a bit about the world, and whereas this was just literally just like, here's Logan now, here's Logan
Yep.
right after that, and so
Yeah,
it
this
just
is
kind of
where
felt
you
like
joined us.
Here's
Yeah.
Logan running. Here's Logan falling.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's Logan with his pot.
Oh, and here are these things called Shenka that we're not going to tell you what they are.
Yeah, but they have
Which
a
is like
spirit.
normally in a prologue, it would tell you what a Shenka was, or like what the forces are at work.
Well, you know what I'll
Right.
tell you is you don't find out in this trilogy.
Oh
Dang.
goodness.
Okay.
Well, okay, a little bit. You get some hints. You get some
Okay,
hints.
okay.
But you got 9 books ahead of you if you really want to
Sheesh.
know.
You know, they got sharp teeth and they can work spears. So there's some kind of humanoid,
Yeah, and some of them are big motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That's
some
about
kind
it.
of like humanoid beast, maybe mutated.
Yeah, I think it does describe their faces. They've got like the pig snouts.
Yeah, it said something like
Oh,
that.
okay. Well, see, that makes me think it's that would go into like magic in some way. Or I guess
Yeah.
like yeah,
Well, it's
yeah,
just like creatures though. So like it doesn't
yeah,
necessarily have to be magic. But
true.
I don't know.
Okay, well,
Well,
do we have anything else to add on the first section?
yeah, not really. I think like the first episodes of each book is gonna be kind of like shorter because we don't have a lot to go off of. But
Right.
I'm really just
Right.
excited like now that we've recorded this that I can go read the the rest of
The
it.
rest
Yeah,
of it.
at least up to what, part one?
Yeah,
All
we're
part
gonna
one?
Yeah.
for next episode
Yeah.
we're gonna have read all the way through part 1. So it's a nice little halfway point in the book that will give us hopefully a lot of context and more ground to
Yeah, more to talk about.
yeah, definitely by then I feel like we're each gonna have a list of like and like things that we think is gonna happen and like have like the what's it the pin board where you have all the strings going everywhere and
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
so like
oh,
from
go ahead. Go ahead.
I read that other book, and my favorite character from the other book, Whitson has already told me, is in this series, and so like I'm really looking forward to like running into him.
yeah.
Oh, who was your favorite character?
Casca.
I, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That doesn't give anything away. That just
No,
gives
no,
the
no, it
name.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Biggest
I
spoilers
promise
ever.
you, MD, if you run into this guy, you will fall in love with him. He will make you laugh your fucking ass off.
Yeah, he's a charismatic son of a bitch. Okay,
Yeah.
so where are we posting this, do you think?
So this is definitely going to be on YouTube and Spotify. We're hoping to get it on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts as well, but I'm not quite sure when it will be put on those platforms because there's like a not validation. What's the word?
Verification.
Verification. That's the word. A
Yeah.
verification like process that has to go on to get on those. But we should be on Spotify and on YouTube almost immediately. So.
Okay, and do we want to interact with those comments on YouTube? I
Yeah,
imagine?
yeah.
It's probably
Leave
the
a-
easiest way.
Yeah. So we have our YouTube channel here that you can subscribe to. It's just the Tome Travelers, and then if you want to like type in the comments, leave some comments about like maybe your theories if you're reading along. Keep the comments spoiler free though, so anyone
Yeah, pretty please.
who wants to read along with us can. So like this episode was just the prologue and chapter 1 and 2. So, spoiler away with those, but anything past that, leave it spoiler free, please. Yeah.
Maybe somebody's harebrained theory will make it into next episode. Maybe we'll
yeah.
discuss some comments.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Well, this has been a blast. I can't wait for the next one. I can't wait to reread this book.
I'm ready for us to read my book.
Oh yeah. I'm ready for us to read my book too.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, probably next episode we'll announce what next month's book will be, right? So people can
Right.
go ahead and order it.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Okay. All right.
So make
Well,
sure
we actually already know next month's book. We could, even tell it now.
well, I say we wait. We give it a
Okay.
second because we're
Fair
just
enough. Yeah, let it
jumping
cook,
into the
let it
blade
cook.
itself. We
Let it
don't want to
cook.
get them
Yeah.
too riled up. So if that's gonna be all for this episode, join us next episode as we discuss all of part 1 and speculate more about the blade itself. You all have a good one.